Good morning, it's Mary again, and we're going to go with part 14 of Losing the Boomer Blues. We're going to continue where we left off yesterday, and I might repeat a little bit here to get us going. Okay, so Mary and Joe, they're going to go to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk for their next date. So, here we go. Mary smiled. Thanks for being so considerate, Joe, but it's more like I'll be holding on to you. Joe reached for her hand and kissed it. He took the sunglasses off, handed them back to her, and said, "We're beginning to carve out some memories, right here and right now. You know, Mary, when I had those sunglasses on, I did see the past, but I was totally in the present. I like having you in my life. Sure, the sunglasses took me back, but there's something about sharing my past that makes me want to share my future with you. Oh, Joe, I feel the same way. I'm so happy we came back into each other's lives." "Well," said Joe, as he walked Mary to the door, "I can't think of a better way to end the day than this." Drawing her close, he kissed her. She kissed him back. They both had silly grins on their faces. Something was happening between them that was exciting and new. The more they were together, the more they missed each other when they were apart. Joe opened the gate, walked over to the newly painted fence, and started packing up his things. He was almost ready to leave when Mary appeared and asked, "Why don't we plan on you spending the night next time we meet?" "You took the words right out of my mouth, Mary. When you come to Santa Cruz, you can spend the night. I have a guest room." "Sounds good to me, and I have a guest room as well. You're welcome to spend the night here the next time you come my way." "You know, that's a perfect solution. It'll take a lot of stress out of our commutes. I want to spend more time with you, not waste it in traffic." Mary replied, "Drive safe and give me a call when you get home." Warmly smiling, Joe said, "I will." He quickly secured his tools in his tool bed, waved goodbye to Mary, and took off. Chapter 7. Vincent and Francesca Reunite. As Fence sat at his office desk, he realized he needed a second cup of coffee. Closing his laptop, he grabbed his jacket and headed for Starbucks. Arriving, he noticed a long line, which he had anticipated. He waited patiently until it began to move forward. Eventually, he made it to the register and placed his order. A woman sitting at a table behind him heard her name called and rushed up to the counter. Taking her coffee from the barista, she quickly turned around and collided into Vince, spilling her hot drink all over herself. Vince grabbed some napkins, and as he handed them to the woman, he couldn't believe his eyes. It was Fran, his high school sweetheart. "Fran, is that really you?" he asked incredulously. "Yes, it's me," replied Fran. "I can't believe it." They both expressed shock and literally bumping into each other. Vince asked what she was doing in town. She revealed that she was working in the flood building as an environmental attorney. He was taken aback. It seemed like time had stood still. There she was, his old flame, standing before him, her dress covered in coffee, as she tried desperately to pat it dry. Knowing they were both in a hurry, he frantically thought, "I can't leave without getting her number." She was thinking the same thing. They stood looking at each other, wondering who would make the first move. Hesitantly, Fran turned to leave. She said, "It was nice seeing you, Vance. Maybe we'll bump into each other again." She laughed nervously as she tossed the wet napkins into the recycle basket. Not wanting the opportunity to pass him by, he reached for her arm and asked, "Would you like to meet for dinner sometime?" Instantly she replied, "I'm free this evening after 7. What about you?" "Give me your address, Fran. I'll pick you up at 7:30. She reached inside her purse for a business card. As she wrote her home address on the back, Vincent couldn't take his eyes off her. He was glad she still had her long, black, wavy hair. He recalled how he used to move it away from her face to kiss her goodbye. She was tall and slim and had big brown eyes that melted his heart. Her natural beauty still knocked his socks off. Thank God for his addiction to coffee. This unexpected meeting was incredible. Handing Vince her card, she said, "My cell phone is on there too, just in case you're running late." She smiled, waved goodbye, and rushed off as Vince stood there, still reeling from the chance encounter. Fran's background. Fran's mother, Peggy, a single parent, had been dedicated to earning a living for herself and her daughter. She had worked at the local drugstore since her senior year in high school. Fran's father, a roadie with Bay Area bands, was constantly on the road, going from one state to the next. He enjoyed being single and having more than just one love interest. Peggy wasn't in a committed relationship with him, so when she discovered she was pregnant, he made it quite clear he didn't want to marry her. He was far from stable or mature enough to settle down, so Peggy accepted her role as a single mother. She rarely saw him after the birth of their daughter, and soon he faded out of their lives forever. Tragically, Peggy was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer when Fran was only 9 years old. Fran's grandmother, Ruth, took them both in when Peggy's illness progressed, forcing her to quit her job. She cared for them both day in and day out until it became necessary for Peggy to receive hospice care. After Peggy's death, Ruth became Fran's sole world. She was devoted to her granddaughter and made Fran feel cherished and loved. Fran's precious memories of her mother remained alive because Ruth kept Peggy's spirit alive. Showing early signs of academic ability, Ruth enrolled Fran into Star of the Sea grade school. Fran's academic achievements earned her scholarships, which were a big help financially to her grandmother. She attended the convent of the Sacred Heart School and excelled in all her classes. After high school, she received a full academic scholarship to the University of California, Berkeley. There, she was accepted into the University of California, Berkeley School of Law and graduated in the top 5% of her class. Vincent and Fran's date. Vincent was nervous as he stood at Fran's front door and rang the doorbell. He knew their meeting at the coffee shop had been a coincidence, but there was a possibility that fate had played a role. Whatever it was, he was thankful for the chance encounter and for the opportunity of reuniting with Fran at last. Fran opened the door and cheerfully said, "You're right on time, Vince. Come on in for a moment. I need to grab my coat." When she returned, Vince helped her with her coat and asked if she would like to eat at Ting's Toe. Fran thought that was a great idea. She hadn't been back there since 2003. She had worked there on the weekends during college and was curious if any of her co-workers were still there and shared this thought with Vince. He felt they probably had moved on since their college days. Yet the day was full of unexpected reconnections. Maybe more surprises were in store for them. When they arrived, much to their surprise, the restaurant appeared the same, but no one they knew was there. Vince suggested a glass of wine to start their meal. Fran agreed. She had a very stressful day, and a glass of wine would relax her. It had started out dreadful before she ran into Vince, but now it was turning out better than she could have ever expected. Vince agreed that meeting up with her had changed his day for the better.